Have you never noticed? It's like some people don't run out of money. No matter what he steals, it always comes from somewhere. But no matter how much some people earn, somehow everything will be fine. Florence Scovel Shinn. This difference exists in a single sentence. Wealth is not a gain, it is the work of consciousness. Because money flows in the universe like energy. How you treat energy determines what it can do to you. Many people ask how they can earn more, but Florence's question is much deeper. How can I retain wealth? This video is exactly about this. Based on Florence Scovel Shinn's laws of abundance, we will discover the spiritual cycle that enables your money to multiply endlessly. But it's not just a financial development. The system of attunement with divine energy. Florence says, pray not to attract money, but to become one with it. If you truly understand this sentence, money will no longer be a goal for you, but a reflection of yourself. In this video, you will learn about the secret life that made that reflection permanent and the journey Florence taught. According to Florence Scovel Shinn, money is not a substance but a living energy. During that period, the wealth of a properly managed person increases. For the person who oppresses others with fear, their money will vanish, Florence says. Money is like the breath of life. You cannot hold it. You can only flow with it. This sentence is the essence of the law of abundance, because it requires a flow of money. You cut off the energy that has fear, guilt, anxiety, or passion towards it. And it states the law of the universe. Stagnant energy content. The moving energy grows. Many people connect it to fear-inducing sections without knowing it. At the moment of winning, thoughts of what if she leaves appear. These thoughts freeze softly, like a lock. Florence calls these money options. According to him, the reason for the transaction of money is not a deficiency, but a part of the amount. They apply the law of circulation, with or without awareness of people who maintain wealth. In other words, he gives money out of love, he gives it gratefully. These are the problems of energy. When viewed within the cycle of the universe, structure it. Florence says, giving makes the same statement as receiving, because no energy in the universe can exist on its own. Many people will stop spending money, he says. But Florence responds to this as follows. If you give it out of fear, or if the money is lost, you can declare it. If he gets sick, you order that money can be returned. Every expenditure is a vote sent to the universe. Even the money you give to a coffee, a gift, a favor, reflects your consciousness. When you give with gratitude, God hears you. That money reaches someone. It circulates there and returns to you, but in a greater form. Therefore, he uttered the phrase that Florence would recite at every expense. This money would return to me, multiplied, in the divine order. Because the law never fails. Money doesn't test you. It mirrors how you treat it. Love loves you when you act with approval. When you approach it with fear, it moves away from you. They receive money trust like an existing living being. Florence says, to the extent that a person respects money, they respect God's abundance. Respect is not about sanctifying money, to see it as a manifestation of God's energy. Because in God's law, nothing is evil. There is only consciousness. And that consciousness, whatever meaning you give to money, money will return to you in that way. Today it changes the way you look at the way money goes. Do not view the departing as a single entity, but as a journey. You cannot absorb deprivation like you can absorb breath. When you hold your breath, life stops. But when you give, a new one comes. Florence Scovel Shinn's law of infinite wealth tells exactly this. I am within the divine law of circulation. Everything I have given comes back to me with enduring joy. Feel that phrase these days, because this law operates not only through words, but through the rhythm of energy. And when that rhythm changes, you see that money doesn't just increase, it constantly multiplies. Money is no longer temporary for you, part of an infinite permanence. And when you join that flow with love, the universe makes you a bearer of its abundance. Florence Scovel Shinn says that nothing in the universe is lost. It merely returns cyclically. Therefore, he sees the true secret of abundance not in making money, but in allowing money to return. Everything circulates. Love, kindness, money, energy. Whatever you give, it returns to you with that frequency. It gives the name of the law of circulation by which the universe succeeds in this. This law enables money to flow through its applications like water. If a dam is built in front of the water, that water stops, becomes stale, overflows, or changes direction. But if you let it flow, it feeds you too. The same thing applies to money. To release money is to allow it to multiply. Many people violate this law without knowing it. Because when the money arrives, fear begins. I may never get this opportunity again. Either my business will fail, or this will be my last remaining money, and at that exact moment, energy becomes stagnant. It perceives this as the cessation of the loss of universal law. The money doesn't go away, but it doesn't come back. Florence says that she manages to achieve something and stops her divine measurements. However, abundance arises from the consciousness of freedom. When a person gives, they do not lose, because they multiply in the flow of the energy they experience. In Florence's teaching, giving is not an act of charity, but an entry into creation. A signal flow for every significant amount of data. I trust it. I don't have any more. Florence had a student. He puts his money aside with fear. He didn't enjoy spending anything. One day he comes and says, "Florence, the money is never coming back to me." Florence smiles and gives the following answer. Because you're not letting him her go. To get back to the money, he must leave first. This sentence is the center of the abundance mixture. To make something stay back, first let it withdraw freely. That's why he's gaining the current life in Florence. When you make your purchases, remember that this money returns to me in the divine order, multiplied. Send this simple sentence as a new record to your subconscious. No longer lost, the consciousness of life becomes active, and the universe immediately senses this consciousness. Money comes from somewhere, it goes to somewhere. A gift, a job, a comfort, an opportunity. The universe has to respond to that promise. Florence says, the universe operates according to your belief, never through mathematics. Therefore, it is not the product of money production, but of consciousness. Your task is to keep life on the right frequency. Not being afraid to give, feeling filled forever when you give, and knowing that what comes is part of a divine cycle. One day, you'll realize that money no longer worries you, because every time you leave, there will be peace within you. Now you'll wonder what will happen if she doesn't return. Then you'll truly feel its magic. Florence Scovel Shinn's law comes into play again here. I am in the law of divine circulation. Everything I give returns to me with love, abundance, and at the perfect time. Say this sentence 3 times today. Morning, midday, night. The feeling of every performance. The money of people and time is no longer just a tool. It will be a language that God has abundantly taught you. And once that language is learned, it will no longer be possible to structure money. Because you need knowledge of infinite abilities, and for someone with this consciousness, there is no such thing as loss. There is only return. Florence Scovel Shinn states that abundance is not merely a mental state, but an energetic choice, and there is only one way to make this choice permanent: gratefulness. Because gratitude is the key that keeps the final door wide open. Florence says, the grateful person upholds the law of their God in perpetuity. Gratitude accelerates the flow of money. Because instead of so much scarcity, it brings about abundance. Whenever you express gratitude for a goal, this message is sent to your subconscious. I already have it. And it responds to the consciousness of possessing the law, not to the consciousness of absence. According to Florence, gratitude is not a feeling, but an act of creation. Because every thank you sentence is sent to the universe, not an order, but a confirmation. The universe is this explanation in this way. He knows the abundance of this person. Then give him more. Many people forget gratitude in their search for abundance. There is a subtle but powerful difference between wanting wealth or feeling decently grateful for wealth. Florence presents it this way. They possess gratitude. They declare that they do not know the extension. Think about it. There are small blessings that hold the day in their hands, but go unnoticed. A cup of coffee, a friendly smile, the warmth of the sun, being able to breathe. These little things are the building blocks of abundance consciousness. The universe gives more to someone who fully comprehends the energy deficiencies that differ in different parts and possesses a sense of wholeness. One of Florence's citizens was constantly complaining. No matter how much I pray, the money doesn't increase. Florence was told this because you are thanking for the lack, not for the abundance. He told her to thank God every day for what she had. They experienced difficulties in the early days, but after a few weeks, they noticed that small miracles were beginning to occur. An unexpected gift from a friend, a new job opportunity, and inner peace. Florence, radiating light, said, "Here begins the work of the law." Gratitude is the purest emotion that elevates the level in the universe. The vote share of fear is low. It's that far away. But the vote share of freedom is high. That's why energy flows in that direction. When you give thanks, you both open the universe, and this is the measurement of the open states. Florence recommends small exercises to your abilities in the following way. The I, hang up and say hello from here. I will. Money multiplies not only on the outside, but also as a sense of trust inside. Because abundance begins first in the heart, not in the mind. Florence says, the grateful heart is God's favorite, and indeed it is. Fortunately, its energy protects you from fear, anxiety, the thought of famine. You no longer desire wealth because it is already within you. You no longer have a goal because everything is complete. At that moment, the law offers choices. It identifies new opportunities. People help you. In some way, everything enters the modified system. Florence calls this state the manifestation of divine order. The grateful person does not wait for a miracle, because it is already a miracle. Turn it into a breath, not a prayer, for which you feel grateful for what you have today. I thank him for your breath, because at that moment, even money takes your breath away. In Florence Scovel's teachings, it is not merely a tool for physical transformation, but a mirror reflecting the depths of consciousness. Because money reflects one's own sense of value. While someone who feels self-sufficient, secure, and worthy of love attracts abundance. Someone who lives with fear, guilt, or a sense of inadequacy unconsciously repels abundance. Florence says, it is the shadow of beliefs in the consciousness of a person's material world. Therefore, wealth is not acquired externally. It is built internally. No matter how hard you work, if there is an unconscious code in your mind that it's too much for me or I'm not worthy of it, even if money finds you, it will stay with you for a long time, because the subconscious mind continues to persist despite your disbelief. The most dangerous form of fear is the fear of sudden abundance. Many people experience a silent panic deep down when they earn more. What if I can't sustain this? What if people take advantage of me? Or what if I fall short? These feelings close the gap between abundance and scarcity instantly. Florence experienced this situation as subconscious sabotage. When fear comes, the law interprets that fear as a desire to protect. It keeps what is safe for you. I mean, a little. Because the law does not punish, it obeys, and it serves whatever emotion lies beneath your consciousness. Therefore, Florence suggests the following method to transform the energy of fear. When fear comes, do not fight it. Just notice it and say, thank you. Now I'm turning you into a protector. This simple center reprograms the subconscious. Now fear is the harbinger of those who are not enemies. When the belief hidden beneath that fear is released, the energy of money begins to flow again. One of Florence's countries stated that it was a day, "When my money is left over, there is an expected expense immediately." Florence smiled and replied as follows. "Because your subconscious still thinks that too much money is dangerous," he says. Then he made her memorize this sentence. "I carry abundance. Money protects me. Because it is the energy of God." The woman repeated this sentence for weeks and after a while realized that the anticipated expenses had disappeared and her income had become regular. Because the fear code had been decoded, and instead, the trust code had taken its place. This is the simple yet profound truth that Florence Scovel Shinn taught. The universe responds to trust, not fear. The subconscious desires to hear God's voice, but can only hear that voice in a state of peace. Therefore, there are sensory nature distributors in Florence that calm the subconscious mind. Their day is quiet and peaceful. Place your hand over your heart and say, "I am safe. Abundance is my nature. God's plan is working within me." These words are just repetition. Feel them. Because the subconscious mind hears emotions, not words. If you have what you have, the money will stay with you. After a while, you will no longer feel panic when money arrives, but instead will experience a sense of peace with the awareness that it is not yet the right time. This is the point at which this abundance of consciousness becomes permanent, because the consciousness of trust makes life permanent. As Florence said, a self-confident person doesn't create miracles. It becomes the miracle itself. Now, instead of fear, there is trust. Instead of anxiety, there is surrender. Instead of delay, there is awareness of God. And it is impossible to restructure the money of someone who possesses that consciousness, because the law has now sealed its security. In Florence Scovel Shinn's teachings, wealth is not limited to merely acquiring it, but to preserving it through wisdom. Because true wealth is not about accumulating things. It is maintained with the right amount of guidance. Florence says, "The holy law gives a seed not only to the one who sows it, but to the one who is best." This is the secret of the permanence of the abundance of words. Money is an energy, but aimless energy dissipates quickly. The universe multiplies everything that has a medium. The directionless one solves it. For this reason, it gives AR direction in the direction of money deck to Florence. According to the wealth provides first aid when it is provided. The energy re-enters, circulation and growth. Growth is the only. These are the ratios. Florence says, money that serves God ensures the protection of the God of money. In other words, the permanence of money lies not in the bank, but in one's consciousness. Money saved out of fear chains its owner, but money guided by intention liberates its owner. This determines the consciousness of a different person. This is essentially exactly the principle of Florence's divine investment. When buying, spending, investing something, look not only at the amount, but also at its energy. Ask this: what kind of caring frequency does this money have for me? If this energy includes love, trust, service, and growth, that investment will never cause you harm, because the law says this: what is done with divine intention multiplies in the form of divine investment. Florence had a student. He used to direct the money he earned to investments constantly, but it could be used at every opportunity. One day he said to Florence, "I think it's my luck." Florence was approaching. "No, you're just investing out of fear. The fear of losing, not the intention to gain, is driving you." Later, you may choose to pray to him with this decree: I am under God's guidance. His decision is governed by the divine intelligence. My money serves God's plan. That's why it never decreases. The woman began repeating this phrase every morning, and after a few months, the same investments started yielding profits, because the energy had diminished. Money was no longer driven by fear, but by faith. Florence says, the continuity of wealth depends not on money, but on the cleanliness of the government. When a person uses money, not only for their own security, but also for international transactions, the universe grants that person the authority to manage more, because the law loves to be fed through reliable channels. If you use money with light, that light returns to you. But if you hold money with fear, you will squander it. When you say this sentence, it will be in your possession. You will no longer be afraid to save it. Florence's last sentence is a summary of this section. God saves for him, her, and this understanding carries with it the permanence of money. In Florence Scovel's teachings, abundance is not merely having more money, it is the soul vibrating in harmony with material energy. Because money is not just a made object, it is a reflection of God's creative energy. Florence says, money is the movement of love in the law of his God. Many people either glorify or despise their money. However, both of his attitudes are contrary to the law. Because nothing in the universe is separate from God, the moment you separate from the soul of the worldly self, energy, division, and conflict begin. However, when paired with the spirit of money, both wealth and peace come at the same time. Florence calls this balance divine harmony. This harmony has three fundamental pillars: intention, love, and finally, the first pillar is intention. A person multiplies at the same frequency at which their wealth increases. If the intention changes based on fear, the desire for control, or the feeling of comparison, the energy becomes imbalanced. But if it can be based on sincere love, service, and sharing, then it falls under the law of the money god. And the law says, nothing that does not serve God's purpose is of value. The second pillar is love. In Florentine teachings, when money is combined with the desire for wealth without love, it tests one not with abundance, but with transformation. Because the universe does not accept growing up without love. If a person does not share humanely, the energy gets blocked somewhere. But one who wins with love elevates the heart together. In Florence's words, every money earned with love is considered sacred. In other words, every payment, every investment, every choice is a message to the God of emotion. I trust you. In this salvation, money becomes no longer a need, but a prayer ritual. Think about it for a moment. Which one are you at when you spend your money? Fear or peace? Regardless of the inner response, here is the frequency of that abundance of emotion. Put it in, and this money within them moves in divine harmony. It serves the usual divine plan. These simple words ensure its security. Now even the flow of money becomes natural. Then you will notice, wealth is no longer an effort. It has become natural. Florence says that money in harmony with the soul never loses, because money is no longer just an object. It is the mirror of your consciousness. The broader your divine consciousness is, the more unhindered your collection of wealth will be. When paired with your soul, wealth ceases to be an external goal. It becomes an extension of your body. You don't manage money anymore. You create together with money, because it too is filled with the same idea as you, and it whispers the law instantly. Except for divine harmony, it will now continue for the duration of the abundance period. Florence Scovel's teachings have a very simple yet profound truth. Abundance is not invoked, it is remembered. Because according to God's law, you are already rich. You just need to remember what you had forgotten. Florence says, God did not create you incomplete. He merely drew the curtain to help you remember. Many people say that the law of the universe is that if you don't seek wealth outside, you don't believe in what is visible outside. In other words, money, opportunity, and abundance are all already part of your inner consciousness. Florence lived as the simplest manifestation of the beings of the God of this consciousness, which is called the field of infinite abundance. In this field, it dwells neither in time nor in space. He is only accessible forever. So when you let go of the thoughts that I don't have, you will enter abundance at that moment. Therefore, Florence opposes the capacity to attract abundance. Free yourself from everything you try to attract. Everything you remember is already being sent. When a person receives money, they actually emit the frequency of scarcity at that moment. But when they say they are in abundance, the mental resistance collapses, and the law begins to flow. One of the districts of Florence had been developing for a long time, but it failed to achieve any results. One day Florence said only one sentence to him. "You're still trying to ask God, but you are already God." When the woman heard this sentence, she began to cry, because she realized, I was already spiritually rich, but I had always looked at it through the lens of deficiency. After that day, instead of asking how I could win, I started saying I was already in abundance, and in reality, everything changed. Job opportunities, new sources of income, and all that was expected began to flow after that memory was recalled. Florence, you experienced this process as spiritual alignment, because the law does not seek to enrich you. It merely reminds you of who you are. To reach this end by the end of this century, he suggests that the following resolution be stated several times on the day of Florence. I am in the infinite abundance of God. Everything comes to me effortlessly in divine order. I don't attract wealth, I live it. This promise creates a great transformation in the energy field, because there is no longer reluctance from shortcomings. It has been replaced by the completeness of existence, and it is a powerful gravitational force in the universe of completeness. Now, the law is starting to work on you, because you're the law now. Wealth becomes not a reward from the outside, but a reality overflowing from within. Florence says, when God has created you in abundance, thinking about your poverty shrouds the miracle. That's why Florence will repeat this saying every day, today. God's abundance endures. There is wealth in the breath. My thought about it is a blessing. When one attains this consciousness, money, opportunities, people, inspirations, and the renewal of everything align, because you no longer emit radiation. You have formed at a radiation-emitting center. Florence presents it this way. Abundance multiplies through the energy it radiates. The more you give, the more you receive. Money is no longer a tool for you. It is a language through which God speaks to you. There is only one word in that language. It has happened. And thus the door of infinite abundance for that word is fully opened. For the law is now completed. No longer does one call upon abundance. One begins to live within it. One of Florence Scovel Shinn's most powerful teachings is this. The word is energy. Energy moves. Moving energy creates distribution. Therefore, in his formula, wealth begins naturally, not merely in thought. Because it is giving commandments according to God's code. And the law interprets every word you say as a command. A lot of people say, I want my money. He says, but at that moment, he gives the following message to his subconscious. I don't have it at the moment. This sentence is a giggle. The Florentine saying goes, I want everything means that what is currently lacking in God is being fulfilled. The word gives form to energy. Therefore, he was teaching them to repeat Florence's words, which were now being kept secret, every morning and night. I am in divine abundance. Money flows to me with characteristics, peace and love. These words are not ordinary. They are decrees encoded with energy. Once felt and spoken, the subconscious mind accepts this choice as real. Because the mind needs to be connected to the repeated word. Florence says, particles of structure in the world that do not seem to be words. I cannot keep up with God's time. Preparing. There is an economic crisis. I am committed to the divine economy. My income is low. My income is constantly increasing, because God is expanding. This transformation changes not only the words, but also their choice. Because the language of the universe is not words, but energy. And you only hear the meaning of your energy that belongs to you. Stop for a moment and ask yourself this question. How will I talk about money today? Did you blame him or did you thank him? Did you despise him or did you bless him? Because, as Florence said, just as you talk to your money, it talks to you. They were having energetic conversations with money in Florence's daily life. In a pay transaction, they would say, "Thank you, dear money. You're going to get more." This keeps the energy of the temporary currency alive. It is no longer a loss. It is a wandering ally. Florence says, you cannot create money through words, but you can now reveal the direction of money through words. Therefore, words not only reflect reality, but also construct reality. After a while, you will realize that you can find peace even when you hear the word money. Because beneath the surface of consciousness, it is not the threat of money, but the teaching of friends that shines through in its simplest form here. He created through the word of God. You too can change it back to the original word. Now you have aligned with the consciousness of wealth, not only intellectually, but also verbally. A prayer of every sentence became a carrier of energy of his word, and the constant placement of the abundance of the quality of that energy in the field. Now your words determine the direction of the money, and the law springs forth. Everything you say comes back to you. Therefore, from today on, may every word of yours be a prayer. For your voice is now the voice of abundance. According to Florence Scovel Shinn's formula, abundance is not something that is acquired once and for all. It is a state that is consciously cultivated, and for that consciousness to become permanent, one must take the final step, aligning fully with the Creator, because true wealth is not just money or opportunity. It is the expression of that wound through your own means of expression, Florence says. The full extent of the wound of wealth is its manifestation in human consciousness. Now, the fears have been resolved. The suspicious place has been left in safety. And now it is time for that abundance to be sealed forever. In Florence, at the end of everything, this prayer was taught. This prayer is not merely a wish. It is the sentence of the completion of creation. I am the center of divine abundance. Everything comes to me with the peace of the perfect order of the wound and what it can sustain. My abundance is eternal because it is the love of the wound. I give, I receive, I multiply, and everything is sealed with light. This prayer is not a closure, but a crowning, for the place of this law is completed. Now you are not a being that calls for abundance, but one that carries abundance, Florence says. Even the silence of one who bears the richness of the Creator is filled with abundance. Words are no longer needed. Your freedom, your existence, your peace are all abundant. Pause for a moment. Take a deep breath and say this sentence from there. Abundance is my nature. The Creator breathes within me, and in every breath, His abundance works. This phrase not only changes your heart, it even recodes it. Because now it works where you live. The Creator is in your hands, in your words, in your days. Now your money is flowing around. He won't come back. When you were around money, you were at the center, and nothing that is at the center can be shaken, Florence says. When faith loses its roots and no longer praises you but praises the Creator who sustains you. At this final stage, not only abundance but also peace is sealed in. Working is no longer a burden. Creation no longer occurs. It's not about spending. It's about getting a return. Waiting isn't a waste of time. It's about trusting the law. You realize it at that moment. Wealth is no longer something distant from you. It is a consciousness that expands alongside you. Florence's last words encapsulate this. Not lacking for the child of the Creator. It is remembering. You. Remembered and completed through that remembrance, you are no longer merely aware of abundance, but abundance itself. It is the natural reflection of your wound, and it will never abandon you in peace and order. Everything has already happened and lived.